What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and I think we can all agree that this Red Sox offseason hasn't really gone the way that most of us had hoped. Yes, they made some decent moves, and yes, they have improved their teams, but they've also lost players in other places that are drastically bringing their team down. And on top of it, it feels as though they aren't spending the way that we would hope the Red Sox would spend in an offseason where they have a lot of money to spend. And what I was going to do originally was I was going to make a video on why this offseason is particularly frustrating, why it feels so lackluster even though the Red Sox are making moves. But instead of having another negative video on this channel, I thought to myself, how could the Red Sox improve this offseason, really round it out and make the Red Sox a competitive team going into 2023? And there has been one trade in the back of my head that has just stuck there. Every time I think of the Red Sox and moves, this trade just finds its way into the back of my head, and it's one that I've seen a couple of times. Now, I'm not going to take credit for this trade. I have seen it on multiple podcasts. Specifically, I heard it on Jared Carrabis's podcast. I also saw it on Twitter a couple of times. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about this trade, why it would help the Red Sox so much, how it could improve and really round out this Red Sox offseason, and we're going to talk about what it cost and if it could be done. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Again, I'm not going to take credit for this trade. It has been out there before, but this trade just makes so much sense for the Red Sox. It's impossible not to talk about. What do the Red Sox currently need right now? They need a shortstop, they need a right-handed power bat, and they need top-of-the-line, reliable starting pitcher. Who has all three of those things? The Milwaukee Brewers. So the proposed trade is the Red Sox trade for Willy Adames, Brandon Woodruff, and Christian Yelich on that Brewers team. On this channel, we've actually talked about Willy Adames before, but I just want to reiterate how much of an impactful bat Willy Adames would be and player in general. Now that all four of the big shortstops have signed to their team, it's going to make it really difficult to find a top of the line shortstop within that free agent market. Willy Adames can give you that top line shortstop type production. Now, it's not going to come in terms of average. His average in 2022 was a bit low. It was sitting at 238, but to me that's okay because Willy Adames makes up for it in other areas. He also finished 2022 with a 756 OPS, a slug of 458, and a 111 OPS plus. So even though that average was a bit lower, he still managed to be an above average statistical player in baseball by 11% last year. That, coupled with the fact that he had 31 home runs and 98 RBIs to go along with 31 doubles, means that this dude can be productive at the plate, especially in the category of that right-handed power bat. Not to mention, take a look at his baseball savant page. Like I said, K-rate percentile is pretty low. He's going to strike out a lot, but he's also going to give you those 31 home runs, the 31 doubles, and the 98 RBIs, plus a lot of the good power categories on baseball savant he's in the red for. So while he may not have the highest average on the team, he's going to bring that power bat that the Red Sox have been missing, which is okay in my opinion, because you got and brought in guys who are going to be really hard to strike out in Turner and Yoshida. You've got guys at the top of that lineup who are more than likely going to get on base more times than they're not, and that to me makes it okay to go out and get a guy who does not get on base as much as some other players in this league and strikes out a little bit more than every other player in baseball, but will still give you that power bat. Not to mention, he would be great defensively. He's in the 96th percentile in outs above average according to Baseball Savant, and you don't need to worry about his arm like we've been talking about with Trevor Story. He's in the 86th percentile for that as well. And on top of that too, if the Red Sox truly do want just a stopgap type shortstop to get to Marcelo Meyer, Willy Adames would be that perfect guy. Why? Because Willy Adames is under control, still in arbitration until 2025, which means that you can get all-star level production at shortstop without paying all-star prices, which seems to be the Red Sox motto right now. So in my opinion, Willy Adames would kill two birds with one stone. You can get the shortstop, the defensive shortstop, really shore up that middle infield, and you get that right-handed power bat. As for the other main piece in this trade, Brandon Brandon Woodruff, he would be a great addition as well. Brandon Woodruff finished 2022 with a 3.05 ERA, a 1.29 ERA plus, and a 3.08 FIP, which is great because it means that Brandon Woodruff did not have a ton of help from his defense, at least in terms of his ERA, and he also just didn't have dumb luck in there as well. He pitched up to his ERA, which is a great sign. In fact, Woodruff is kind of known for that type of reliability. Over his career with the Milwaukee Brewers, he's had an ERA of just 3.18 with a 1.32 ERA plus, meaning that over his career with the Milwaukee Brewers, he has been 30% more productive than the average pitcher in baseball. Not to mention too, Brandon Woodruff is under the same arbitration as Willy Adames. He will not be a free agent until 2025 as well, making Brandon Woodruff a longer term solution to that top of the rotation type guy. In fact, in Milwaukee, the only reason Brandon Woodruff was not the ace of the Brewers is because the Brewers have Corbin Burnes. If they did not have Corbin Burnes, Brandon Woodruff would be that guy. Now you may be sitting there thinking, hey Corbin, why not just go after Corbin Burnes? Well, I think Brandon Woodruff fits with this team a little bit better, and two, I think that putting Corbin Burnes within this trade and trying to get their ace caliber pitcher would make things a lot harder, make it more expensive, and it may just simply be out of reach for the Boston Red Sox. And finally, Corbin, why are we putting Christian Yelich in this trade? Well, the main reason why you're putting Christian Yelich in this trade is because Christian Yelich has a big contract. If the Red Sox were able to take on some of that contract, it drives the price of the actual trade down. You give up less prospects while taking on more money. Yelich currently has 6 years left in a contract where he's getting paid $26 million a year with a 7th year attached to that in an option for $20 million. Is that expensive? Yeah, probably. But at the same time too, you also don't have to take on the entire cost of his contract. You could offer to take on 2/3 of the cost of his contract. The Brewers take on 1/3, really even that out a little bit. And not to mention the fact that the Red Sox do have money in their system right now to be able to afford paying Christian Yelich while not having to go over the luxury tax itself. You have a ton of money still open and not assigned to anybody that the Red Sox have not used, and you could use that to pay Christian Yelich and get Adames and Woodruff on top of that. Now, Christian Yelich didn't exactly have a terrible 2022 either. He'd still be a productive player for this team. He's just not the highlight of this deal. He actually finished 2022 with a 252 average with a 355 on base percentage and a 111 OPS plus. Again, 11% more productive than the average player in baseball at the plate. And both of those statistics, the OPS plus and the on base percentage, were higher than what Alex Verdugo had in 2022 as well. So if you're looking for a guy who can get on base and be productive at the plate, Christian Yelich is doing it better than Alex Verdugo has been doing it, which is great. It's all fine and dandy. Having these people on this team would be absolutely fantastic, but there is one small problem. How do we get them here? Well, because you are taking on so much of Christian Yelich's contract, in this hypothetical 2/3, it may not cost as much as you think. The first guy on the trading block for me to go to the Brewers is going to have to be Alex Verdugo. Now, I don't want to trade Alex Verdugo. I actually love Doogie, and I do think there is another level for him to unlock, a all-star type level, but you can't have Christian Yelich, Yoshida, and Doogie in the same outfield. It's just not going to work out, so you may have to trade Alex Verdugo. Plus, for the Brewers, if you're looking at MLB ready players on this Red Sox roster, Alex Verdugo is going to give you Christian Yelich type production while costing you much less. As for the other guys in this trade, it's kind of up to what the Brewers really want. In my opinion, you could make a trade where you put in Rafaela because he's going to drive up the value for the Red Sox so much, and then fill it out with guys like Cutter Coffee and Brandon Walter. Now, obviously, those guys are interchangeable, and it ends up being whoever the Brewers want, but my point with putting these actual players in this trade is to show you that it may not cost a top 2, top 3, top 4 prospect in the Red Sox system. Those guys that the Red Sox have deemed untouchable, the Bayos, the Mayers, the Costases of the world, aren't going to have to be moved to get a guy like Adames and Woodruff on this team. Plus, you get the added bonus of taking on a former MVP in Christian Yelich. Now, the biggest question here is this trade possible? It may not look super likely on paper. It is possible for the Red Sox to do this. I don't know if they are going to do this though. In my opinion, the biggest hurdle with this trade is one, the fact that it's been rumored and reported that a lot of MLB teams are holding on to their players pretty tightly. They aren't shopping their players around like we've seen in the past with other off seasons. It may be difficult to get this trade rolling. Other problem and hurdle with this trade, specifically with the Red Sox, is that reports reports are out that Chaim Bloom is holding on to his prospects really tightly, specifically Rafaela, who everyone sort of thought was going to be on the trading block, a guy that you are going to sell high and get a lot of value for. Chaim Bloom seems to really want him still in this system. So that may be another hurdle to get over. And is it one that the Red Sox can get over? I don't know. But at the end of the day, if you take a look at this trade, you are truly improving this team and making this team a contender with this trade, right? You're getting the all-star defensive shortstop who can give you the power numbers that you have been missing, that you are going to miss in the middle of this lineup with the departure of Xander and JD. You are getting a all-star starting pitcher who could really round out the top of this rotation, and you're getting a huge discount on those players by not having to give up a ton of prospects, taking on Christian Yelich, who again, in his own right, is not a terrible player. He was above average production-wise last year. He got on base better than Alex Verdugo did, and he was a former MVP. If the Red Sox truly want to make a big splash on the trade market, this trade alone could completely change the trajectory of this Red Sox off season. But hey, that's just me. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of this trade? Do you think it could single-handedly change the Red Sox offseason? Do you think it's possible? Do you think the Red Sox will want to do it? Let me know all your thoughts on this trade down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like I said at the beginning, if you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Plus, you made it to the end here, you might as well hit that sub button. You also might as well hit that like button as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seat.